Hi everybody, it's August 22nd, 2024. I'm in Norwich, Connecticut, and I'm going to do a tour of the Yantic Cemetery. Which was established in 1844. So look at that sign right there. There's a huge map. I'm not going to be able to do it justice. Maybe by some miracle you can zoom in and read the layout. Let's see, Evergreen Circle, Fountain Circle, Sylvan Circle. This is an incredible thing. I'm on Lafayette Street right now. And I'm just going to take a walk around the whole cemetery, point out some historic markers, and just get you kind of a look at the lay of the land here and how this historic cemetery appears as we walk around. You know, I'm thinking right now I'm just going to walk around the perimeter of this big, huge cemetery, which I believe is, I don't know, I guess I would classify it as a Victorian era cemetery. I'm not an expert on this. That can be researched if you're interested in Victorian era cemeteries, which I believe this is, but I'm not positive, so double check on that. Plenty of information on the web. But I mean, for example, this headstone right here, you know, this was put in 1928. The one next to it, 1922. I'm gonna walk the perimeter. 1912. You know, there's a lot of very famous, you know, historically important people that lived in Norwich, and there's a lot of people buried here. The names of roads in Norwich and things like that. There's one, let's see, James Smith, 1895. So, you know, again, this is a monumentally important, historically, you know, very significant cemetery. If you're interested in this type of thing, I'll give you a general walk around, but there's nothing like being here on foot. I don't think this camera can do it justice. But it's the best we got, so we're going to use it. You know, I'm going to take a detour for 1 second, then I'll get back on that perimeter. But this is very noteworthy right here. For example, I mean, this guy right here, Henry Champlain. He died in 1864 in Andersonville, Georgia. A horrible Civil War era let me see if there's any. Let's see. Civil War. Yeah, this forms a circle. These could all be Civil War vets here. cavalry. Yeah, they really get into detail. So if you're into the Civil War, you know, guys from Andersonville are buried in here. I'm just taking a quick glance at a lot of these. Yeah, these are put in, I don't know if it's all Civil War. A lot of it is Civil War. Could be some World War I maybe. I'm not positive on that. I'm just, again, glancing very quickly. There's tons of information if you're into, you know, really researching Civil War era soldiers and people that fought in that battle. Okay, there's another Andersonville, 1864. Andersonville, I don't know, I think it was a prison. It was a horrible conditions. It's a legendary place. Disease, and you know, again, that's got to be researched. Obviously I can't do it justice. I'm just walking around here, but there's another. Okay, here's this one's real sharp right in the sun. Let me get a shot of this thing right here. I'm trying to line this up. William Hayward. Another one, 1864, died at Andersonville. I mean, right there. Oof. There's a big cannon in the middle of this thing. In this area, okay, here is the victims of the Civil War were reinterred in this circle. Their stones are marked Andersonville, and it goes on and on. It's too big for me to film, to record on video here for you to read, but if you come down, you want to come down and take a look at it. It's worth, you know, researching. You could just come right down here and learn a lot about this little section right here of Civil War era soldiers that died, many in Andersonville. I'm far from an expert on the Civil War or Andersonville itself, but I do know the conditions there were absolutely horrific. Here's another entrance to this Yantic Cemetery. The gate is closed. You can walk in. There's a gate that you can walk in right there. Again, that's Lafayette Street. In this dirt road, you can drive down the dirt road directly in front of me. That leads down towards Bacchus, but there's more headstones and monuments down there. I mean, there's some beautiful monuments down here. Here's one Deering. Right there. There's an enormous, I don't know what that is. That's maybe an above ground crypt. The name on that is Chapman. There's another, I mean, there's just too many to mention. You'd have to, again, I'm giving you kind of a general, broad brush view of the cemetery down here, but again, just take my word for it. If you're into Victorian era, Civil War era monuments and cemeteries and history, this is one of the best examples that I've ever been to, that I'm aware of. Beautiful day today. The clouds, the temperature is probably 75 degrees, dry. Some of the names: Hubbard, Perkins, Corning, Hoxie, Cheesebro, Foster, Davis. There's a look towards Lafayette Street. There's a monument, Baker. Very tall monument. Park is another name down here. Miller, Coldsworthy, Teft, Vaughn. There's a lot of family plots down here. Rice. Let's see. Josephine Rice, Edgar Dennis. Okay, this is the Dennis family plot. A lot of these folks. This person died in 1915. Wow, there's one here that died in 1974. The monument is very similar. 1946, 1930, 1940. Interesting. Ladd. Beautiful monument over there. Ladd. Taft. Let's take a walk over here. Get a look down from this elevated position above Lafayette Street. Yep, there's monuments down there. Like I said, this is a big, massive cemetery. Right in the background, straight ahead, is Bacchus Hospital. I am literally on top. Let me get up here. There's two huge underground crypts. You can see the back portion of that would be the front. You know, I'm gonna get down there. I think this is worth, if I can find a place to, I want to look at the front of those crypts. There's another one right here. I'm walking on top. Three big, giant crypts that are, you know, that are just buried into the hill. This is an extremely steep hill I'm going down. Okay, here's one that's all grown over. The big metal door. All that greenery should be trimmed back, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, okay, here's something. Yarrington. Again, a gigantic. I call it a crypt. I don't know if that's the proper technical term for this thing. Here's one. Young. Philip Penna Young. 1825, 1960. I mean, that's impressive. They don't make them like this anymore. I guess they would if, you know, somebody had the financial wherewithal to do that. It's kind of a side view of where those crypts are, but I don't think that's something you see too much of in the modern era. People may or may not do that. I've never met anybody that, in my lifetime, that's put in a crypt for a member of their family. I mean, that back there, that's in the hundreds of thousands, or whatever. It's a lot of money to do something like that. Let's see some of the names. Whitaker, Mason, Huntington, legendary Fisk. All right, you got another Civil War monument, 1907. There's people all over the place. See, now this is kind of a family, or I don't know, it's squared off. The big monument you see there, Maples is the last name. Some of the other names inside there are Robinson, let's see, Ford, Billings, but they're all within that square, so I'm assuming they're the same family. Coit, Hutchinson, Hovey over here, right there, big monument. There's an incredible monument right there that, it's got to be 1800, I would say late 1800s. Let's get up a little bit closer. It's like an angel on top with a star on top of her head. But that's an impressive monument. I say hundreds of thousands of dollars. I could be way off. It could be $1 million to do a crypt or a giant monument like that. I don't know. Let's see, what are the names? This is a name now, Welty, right there. If you go to Lowthorpe Meadow and then to the ancient burial grounds over there with Revolutionary War soldiers, Welty is a name that is on a lot of masonry work there from, I don't know when, I'd say the early 1900s, I'm guessing. So that must have been Welty property. I'm just riffing here, guys. This is, it's an overwhelming place to be, the cemetery. If you would come here and you would take your time, you'd look at the names, you'd maybe look up some stuff on Ancestry.com or, whatever. And you would have an absolute field day down here. It would be an endless supply of things for you to research and study. And let's get a look. It's kind of a droning sound in the background from Bacchus. I don't know what that's all about. Could be some kind of a power plant or something. Anyways, Bacchus is over there through the trees, but there's another look at that lower section. So this thing is huge. It's multi-tiered. I'm on the main level right now, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers leading down there. Mackenzie's another name. Case. We have a street in Norwich, Case Street. Wouldn't surprise me if that's someone that's related. Gould, Higgins, Chase. I'll just throw out names. Prentice Rice. Elijah Rice. Okay, let's see here. Gear, another very legendary name. Hinckley, Chapman, Walker, Brewer, Cottrell, or Cottrell. Lathrop, very important name in this town. Wilson, Woodworth, Jones, Watke. It's another monument with a figure on it. That's Carey is the family name of that one off in the distance there, that woman statue. Stanton, there's a Stanton School in Norwich. Blackmar, Whittlesey, Hawkins, Thresher, Bliss. There was a Bliss Jewelers in Norwich. Potter down there. Blackstone, there's a big building called Blackstone Apartments. Gaylord. I could spend, 9 hours doing a video here if I was to read over all these names. It's almost an impossible task. Steed, Beardow. I'll throw out some of the names. Fillmore, Harrison, Bent, Woodworth, Kraft, Lennon, Sturtevant. There's a Sturtevant Street in Norwich and a Sturtevant Avenue. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say that this is the Sturtevant right there, family plot. Somebody named Kinder, Phillips, Howe, Whitmore, Lillibridge, Weldon, Underwood, Russ, Hastings, Howe, Beckwith. Okay, that building, that large structure directly to the left of the frame here is a heliport. Lifestar helicopter operates out of there. And let's see, let's direct this camera over at, that's the emergency department at Bacchus Hospital. John Mitchell, right there, the Mitchell family plot. Let's take a look at where that helicopter lands. We're here. This barbed wire on this fence. I don't want anybody going over here. But anyways, if you can see through that, let me see if I can hold this thing up. I don't know if you can. I'm holding it through the barbed wire. There's a kind of a cross with an H on it. Hope you saw that. I don't know. I don't know if it's picking that up or not. It's hard for me to look at that screen when it's way over my head. But that's where the helicopter lands. They take emergency cases. You know, patient may need emergency surgery at Hartford Hospital or something along those lines. Carruthers, Snyder, throwing out some more names. Carpenter, Brown, Eccles, Peel, Johnson, Caroli. There's an interesting one down here. Let's see. Steed, Griswold, Edmondson, Jennings, Sheldon. I'm just reading off the last names. Potter. Okay, this is a big, huge monument right there. Potter, the Potter family. There's an interesting stone right here. I don't know if you can read that or not. I'm trying to zero right in on it. Harry Potter. So there you go. For all the Harry Potter fans out there. Tweedy. Enormous monument. Directly in front of me. Let's see. Portus. There used to be a building in Norwich, the Portus and Mitchell building. So I'm making assumptions here, but I'm in Norwich. There's a giant monument worth a fortune. I'm assuming if he had a building named after him, or if it was he owned the building, I'm going to assume that that's probably has something to do with that family. Burnap, let's see, Comstock, Haskell. I mean, there's beautiful trees down here. There's beautiful, these winding roads. Over to my right, by the way, right through those woods and down a very steep hill is the Yantic River. And train tracks and let's see, Mitchell, Chaplin, Noyes, that's another big Norwich name, Fitzpatrick, Hofer, Carpenter, again. A lot of these are common English names. I mean, there's a name for you, Force. That's a good name. Albert Force. There's a force to be reckoned with. All right, what do we have? Pitcher down here. Arms, Tracy, Rockwell. There's a Rockwell Street in Norwich. Hale. Again, I'm walking around the perimeter. If I went deep, it would be, I don't know. It just goes on and on and on. See, these are really old right here. Let's take a look. I mean, there is some, you know, this downed headstone. It's unfortunate. Okay, this person died in 1841. Gilbert Huntington, age 45 years old. Now that in and of itself would be interesting to look at the history of Gilbert Huntington. What happened, you know, 45 years old, 1841. I mean, okay, Bliss over here, Bliss, that giant monument, Bliss Jewelers. I'm assuming it's the same family. Averill Camp. See these round, I mean, there's different, you know, like, I'm assuming this is some kind of a family plot or something. I'm going to go right up onto this thing. This cement circle. There's no monuments except these two. One of them is severely damaged, and the other one's in pretty good shape considering the person died in 1862. But there's kind of a look at that. But here's that circle that goes all around. I mean, these are, you know, again, there's a squared off section there, and my assumption is they're family plots. I mean, it just seems to make sense to me that would be the case. The Coit family is buried in this cemetery, Perkins. Coit monuments are massive. Here's some other very old monuments. What are these? Pierce. The Pierce family. Harriet Pierce. Yeah, this entire section is all Pierce. Again, right there you can see a downed, broken. I think this is made out of marble. It looks marble to me, these Pierce monuments. Upham. UPHAM. Very nice monument. Alright, let's see. If I'm going to do the perimeter, like I said, let's get out here. Levens. Huge family plot right there. It's all, again, surrounded by those, I would think, granite, big slabs of granite. Here's another massive, you know, family plot. Perkins, Beckwith. Look at this giant, what is this? Charles C. Johnson, right there. It could be a young person. It's like a small, almost a casket sized. I'm trying to see a date or anything on this. It just has the name. I'm not seeing a date. No, just the name. Here's an Irish. Right there. Blessed are the, let me read that. Blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord, ever so faith, the Spirit, for they rest from their labors. I'm trying to read it. It's a little bit obscured, but so here's another, you know, looks like a casket style There's another shot of it. It looks like a casket-style monument. Elizabeth Lee Barker, child of James and Elizabeth Dwight. I can't get too into the fine details of everything because, again, this would be a 9-hour video. Look at this gigantic, I don't know, granite structure in front of me. I want to take a look. At the front of it, Osgood. That's a big Norwich, historically important Norwich name. Let me get this. There it is right there, Osgood. Charles Henry Osgood. He died in 1925. There's another Osgood monument surrounded by this new fence. Ah, yes, there's a very important piece over here. Now I know why the fence is there. That monument right there, let me get through here. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. That's a brass or a copper woman looking down, shrouded. Let me see if I can get up on this fence and read that. Sarah Larned, wife of Charles Osgood, died in 1891. That copper woman statue right there was once stolen and left for scrap metal. People tried to take the scrap metal to somebody, I don't know, they had it for quite a while, and they try to make money they cut it up into pieces. And I had photographs of it. I had photographed it a few years prior, which I did send to the authorities, and I don't know if it didn't exactly solve the case, but it helped them a little. And they arrested the people that stole that and ultimately brought them to justice. Here's a huge, again, I'm guessing Victorian era family plot. Norton, another big, very important family in Norwich, Connecticut. Again, there's some repair problems. You can see part of that cast iron fence is down. It's fixable. All this stuff is fixable, especially with today's technology. All right, let me get back on the main road. We'll do the perimeter, but there's that Osgood monument in the distance. We can see it right to the top now. I'm walking right between one of these cement. When I say cement, it's granite. I mean, this is all, this is not, there's no granite in here. This is, I mean, there's no cement. There's no cheap monuments. These are all old, and they're all, by the looks of this section, very wealthy families back in, at the time they had these monuments put in. Home is a name there. Hooker is a name I see. Pendleton, Luge, Gilbert, Crocker, Griswold again. I mean, my head, I'm looking in all directions. If you were here and this is your thing, researching history from the vantage point of a cemetery. This is gold. This is a never-ending supply of solid gold for your research. Hands-on, on the ground, physical monuments that are absolutely stunning to see live. Stedman is another name over there. Rudd. And point this. Beautiful. I mean, absolutely stunning. There were styles, as you can see down there, those kind of Washington Monument looking structures, very similar. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I lost count. It goes on and on. So that was a trend or a style at that time, I'm assuming. And then they get into the real fancy with the Stedman Monument here and Aikman. You know, the real, I don't want to say ostentatious, but it's not a stoic or it's not a conservative design. I'm sure it was very popular at the time. But, you know, as the years went by, early 1800s, mid 1800s, late 1800s, 1900s, whatever, things changed. There's a tree. It resembles the trunk of a tree with branches that are cut off. Now that kind of stands on its own here. That doesn't fit in. So this is an interesting person or interesting family that put this in. Let me see if I can read the name on this. E-A-B-I-L-L. E.A. Bill. The last name could be Bill. I'll hold it up, but it's tough to read. It's not very, hope you can see that. I think, there's a period. E.A. Bill. The last name is Bill. Okay. We got that. So that's the Bill family, or whoever had that monument put in, did something different than everybody else at the time. Henry Thomas Jr. He died in 1864, right there, right in front of me. That's the Thomas family plot. Here's another one of the areas, family plot, surrounded by, in this case, cast iron, fancy cast iron. That would be the Smith family. And the maiden name of the wife was Curtis. Let's see, Camden is another name. Osgood, a lot of Osgoods. Carroll is another name. Crary is another name. Loveland is another name. Family plot right there with one monument. Waterman is a name. That large monument right there. Huntington again. Very famous. Wow, there's actually must have been a baby, an infant that died. This monument right here is a small child. The statue of a small child, baby, laying down sleeping. Okay, let's look back. Get kind of a panoramic sweeping view of this cemetery. Yantic Cemetery in Norwich, Connecticut. Foster is another name I see. Woolworth, Woodworth. I mean, these are names that the stuff of legend in this town. Standish, Tracy. Another family plot. There's only 4. This is Green is the last name. G-R-E-E-N-E. That could have something to do with Greenville. Greenville is not spelled with an E, but back in the old days, it kind of switched back and forth between having the E and not having the E. But the current spelling is without an E. Interesting. Very nice. Beautiful looking headstones. Duchette is another name. Green Bank. A lot of beautiful shade trees down here. Perkins is a name. Big family plot right there. Perkins. Huge. Avery. That's a big name around here. Avery Point. I don't know if, again, I'm speculating, but I think it might have something to do with the Avery family. Avery Point. Witter. Parker. Dodge. Gordon. Welch. Gardner. That car's been driving around the cemetery since I got here. They must be looking for something. Kubler. Let's see, another Civil War. Died at 75 at age 75 in 1909. Civil War. Ira Wood. Charles Williams, Alma Thompson, his wife. I'm just rattling off names. Addie. Duncanson. Ramage. Andrew. Rathburn. Kammerer. Woodward. Cagewell. Kendall. Some of them are hard to read. They're overgrown with, I don't know, lichen. Wilson. Loomis. Bacchus, as in Bacchus Hospital. Allen, Rathbone, Terp, Hempstead. There's a Hempstead Street in New London. Could be related, I don't know. Barlow, a lot of Browns. The name Brown is very common in this cemetery. Jordan. I mean, I'm 43 minutes into this video, guys, and I haven't even scratched the surface. But this is what it looks like. This is a general sweep, as I said earlier, which is going to enable you to come down here. Gear is another name. It's going to enable you to come down here and scope this place out on your own, if you're interested. And you're just going to, your mind's going to be blown if you've never been here before. I kid you not. This is not some run-of-the-mill modern cemetery. This is, you're going back in time right now. If you're Hamilton's another name. Hamilton Avenue. You know, these are big names down here. But this is going back in a time machine. But it's still here, and it's perfectly preserved. Not perfect. I mean, some of the monuments are damaged. But they can be restored. Anything can be restored. That's just... I don't worry about restoration. With modern technology and the techniques they have of repairing and fixing anything that's broken, it's very doable. Let me catch some shade here. All right, let's take a look. Let me frame this up, get a nice looking shot of that cemetery from a wide perspective. Beautiful breeze coming in, it feels great. I mean, you could just come here and walk around this thing for exercise. It's that big. I mean, I walked around, I don't know how far, I just did a circle basically. It's probably a mile. Probably long, probably more than a mile. You know, just for laughs, let me check my, I have a thing on this phone that tells me how many miles I walked. I'm trying to get a gander at it right now. 1 mile, so, okay, it's 1 mile. Once around this thing is 1 mile. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And again, I'm not picking up on all the details. I'll just take 1 second here to show you a detail. And these things are everywhere. This is a cat. Monument of a cat. Hopefully it's focusing on that cat with wings. It's like an angel cat. Those houses down there in the background is, again, Lafayette Street. A lot of doctors' offices, dentists down there. All right, let me dip inside some of these. Allen. I mean, there's different. It's, you know, you can't, if you were here, you'd be like me. I can't make up my mind whether I should go left, right, center. There's just too much to see. You'd have to really plot it out. And you'd have to come down here with a mission, like I'm going to do this section and concentrate on that. Lands, L-A-N-Z, very impressive monument. Last name here, Snow, Betsy Snow, Henry Snow. Jilson, there's Jilson Square Cinema in Willimantic. Are they related? Maybe. Shoals, there's a Shoals Avenue. Worth looking into the history of that. Hewitt, Barrows, Stanton. There's a Stanton School in Norwich. But, you know, like this really old Phillips. This person died April 16th, 1860, at age 60 years old. All right, let's take a look up here. I'm going to come to a conclusion here real soon because, again, I could do a 9-hour video on this place without even trying. But I did the perimeter, pointed out a few highlights here and there. Let's take a look back. Another panoramic view of this Yantic Cemetery. Sears, there's a name for you. Coit. This one here looked interesting, really fancy. Williams, another prominent name in Norwich. This is a family plot. It's encased in a granite perimeter. There's another real fancy one right there, Mary Morgan. She died in 1873, but it's an absolutely, that's Victorian era right there. Again, I'm no expert on this stuff, but the wind is starting to kick up a little bit. Carew is another name over here, huge family plot. Do another sweep. Rockwell, Buxton, Sutcliffe, Kine, Eaton, a lot of Rockwells in there, Moore, Harris, Hyde, Cottrell, Chapel. Oh yeah, one of my favorite, Wood, Stafford, Allen. One of my favorite monuments in this whole place is up here. Got to show you that before we shut things down. I'm literally the only one here except those two vehicles we saw driving around, so it's a good place for a walk. No, there are no dogs allowed in here, by the way. There's a sign out front that said no dogs, so you can't bring your dog. That Johnson monument right there, to me. Let me frame it up dead center. Right there, dead center. That thing is, there's nothing for perspective. That thing is 8 feet tall, I'm guessing, 7.5, 8 feet tall. It is one massive slab of granite. And there's the back. Right there, let me pull back a little bit. Samuel Hyde Johnson. He died in California in 1878. He was married to Freelove Eliza Gager, and his wife died in 1919. There's other names on there. I recommend you come here and check it out. I mean, look at some of this. You know, I haven't really focused too much on this this ornate cast iron work that's done down here. Again, we're in a time capsule. All right, I'm going to work my way back to the front entrance, the main entrance, and then we'll close up shop, call it a day. I'm at 52 minutes in this video, so that's what you call barely scratching the surface at Yantic Cemetery. 52 minutes. And by the time I'm done, I get back, it'll, you know, tack on a couple more minutes. Tillinghast is another name over there. Champlin, Higgins, Kingsley, Bowcam, another Huntington, that big tall monument. As we walk towards Lafayette Street. Bowring, Robertson, Bidwell, Edwards, Bliss, Ladd, Abraham, Crocker, Lamphere. Just tossing out the names. Here's a real cool one. Darling or Darling Hetty. This must be a child. It looks like a lamb. Let me see if I can get that in. Right there, it's tilted. It's kind of off whack a little bit. That's a little lamb resting. Shoals. Let's see, John House. There's another entrance over there, another gate. Let me see here, straight ahead. Yeah, there's another gate. Doesn't look like it's used that often, but it's, you know, it's chained up right now with a padlock. Robertson, Hatch, Mathewson, Allen, Saxton, Camp, Daniels, Mary House, Clark, Albro, Loomis, Bushnell, Ford, Bennett, Latour, Schultz, Beswick. So that walk I just did, and I'm going at a less than moderate pace. I'm just basically walking along, taking my time. Took 55 minutes. And it's 1 mile in circumference. Let me go back out to where we started. Maybe I'll go across the street and show you the entrance, see what give you a look at what it looks like from a wide angle. Lafayette Street. I gotta wait a second here. Just had a Tesla drive down the street there. Okay, so there's the entrance of the Yantic Cemetery from Lafayette Street. I'm going to walk into it. The car coming real quick up Lafayette Street. See some more of those iron cast iron fencing and it's just really an incredible place. So we started here, we'll end here. Let me do one more wide panoramic shot of the Yantic Cemetery in Norwich, Connecticut in August of 2024. Thanks for joining me, folks.